All right. Hi, Jeni. I'm looking at
Hi.
the attendee numbers already, and it's climbing very rapidly. I like to see that. So hello to
Yeah.
everyone. As people are sort of populating the virtual theater, so to speak, feel free to jump in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. That's always one of my favorite parts of virtual tastings, is seeing where all across the country and sometimes all across the world people are joining from. And of course, if you're enjoying some Chandon, which if you're not, you should be, let us know which Chandon you're enjoying. I personally am drinking the Chandon Brut Rosé at the moment. Jeni, what are you working on over there?
I'm going with Brut, but I'm really a little glass so that I can get to the Brut Rosé quickly too, because I really do love that one.
I love that.
Love
I'm
them
seeing
both.
all kinds of people checking in on the
Virginia.
chat. Yes, Virginia, Vancouver, Canada. We got international already. Richmond, Los Angeles, Bay Area. Welcome. We got a good group here. I love this. Still seeing the numbers really climbing. So we'll
Portland, hello. Columbus, hey.
Yes.
All right, that makes two of us.
That's local for you, right?
Yeah, and also what's great about that is that it's like evening here. It's like heavy evening. We're 7 o'clock here, so it's like dark and perfect for, being in my champagne cave or my sparkling wine cave is what I've got.
Perfect for drinking Chandon. You're onto something there.
Yes.
It's only 4:30
Actually, guys,
here.
I'm in my bedroom. It's not really.
Well, hey, Jeni, I think we're pretty even on the number of attendees, so let's get rolling. I want to say hello to everybody. Most people are probably looking at me and saying, "Who is that guy?" My name is Brian Fairleigh. I manage brand education here at Chandon in the Napa Valley. I'm actually sitting in the winery at this very moment. I've worked for Chandon now almost for 11 years. So you have a Q&A box, and if you have any questions about Chandon sparkling wine, this is the time to ask. So definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. And of course, I'm super, super excited to be joined by Jeni. Hello.
Hello. Hey, hey everybody. And hey, Brian. I am so excited to be with all of you tonight. I have gotten to know Chandon over the last, really, I would say a decade and a half, but really over the last year, when I visited for the second time. First time I ever visited Chandon was in 2006 with a friend, and just fell in love then, and then was able to come back. I think it was about a year ago, and really just got to know your team, which was amazing, through the Create and Cultivate group, and just vowed at that point that we had to do a collaboration because we think so much alike. You wouldn't think that an ice cream maker and winemaker are going to think a lot alike, but really we do. And it's so interesting because it's all about scent. It's all about the way that flavor travels. And honestly, it's about air and how we bring air into our heads and scent the air as we're eating. So it was really fun to get to know you guys and your whole team, and even to get to know these wines so much better. And I just absolutely love them. Bubbly is my favorite. It's like the only thing I drink anymore. And so much fun this time of year, obviously. So I also think that these events are really fun because we get to see people like without masks on. And even now when it's winter, it's like, well, at least here, it's like we're wearing hats and then masks. So we're just never seeing faces. So it's really good to see you. And I feel like we're almost in the same room together. And then, that kind of reminds me, like, things are different now, and so how can we use our sparkling wine to do something fun this year in 2020? We have a lot to celebrate moving into 2021.
Certainly.
What do you think?
It is such a unique year. I mean, I don't think that's probably the greatest understatement in history, but I think sparkling wine, it cultivates connection. And that's a really important thing, that it works over virtual and in person. Because you said exactly what I was thinking, which is it kind of feels like we're in the same room. I think at this point, we're all used to this, where it used to be a barrier and now it's just the norm. And for me, this year I've been doing a lot of virtual stuff, both for work. I mean, doing virtual tastings here at Chandon, where people get wine shipped to them and they get to have a tasting led by me, but also with my family. And, that's a really cool thing, because normally I wouldn't do that. I mean, it's my family's scattered all over the country, so we would all have to get on planes and take Ubers and have hotels or an extra bedroom in order to see everybody. And now we're all jumping on. Friends are jumping on. People I haven't seen since high school are jumping on these Zoom meetings. So it's really, actually, I'm kind of a silver lining guy. And that's
me too. I mean, I even feel like I was like, I'm going to get creative and make it look like where I want to hang out and drink sparkling wine and like have a gold spoon and even have some sorbet or whatever, put on a
Oh,
black dress. I mean, I'm here for all of it. Like, and then tomorrow I'll be tasting probably, whatever, white chocolate peppermint ice cream with a bunch of kids, and it'll be a whole different set. But I actually think there's a lot of fun to be had right now in how we do
100%.
this.
And I mean, of course, the best fun is drinking Chandon and enjoying some of that sparkling berry sorbet, which I had after lunch today. If I'm totally honest, I didn't eat the whole pint, but it was close. And we'll talk a little bit about the sparkling berry sorbet later, because I think it's just the coolest collaboration that we've ever done here. You're getting to the Brut Rosé. Yeah,
let's talk about though. Okay, so when you're planning on a toast, whether it's a December holiday or actually like New Year's, what are some things that you think? I mean, just from a wine perspective, what, and then maybe if you have any other ideas of things to say or whatever, what are some things that you guys teach?
I mean, I always teach things similar to public speaking, and the first thing for me whenever I'm going to speak in public is to read the audience. It's to see who's in front of you, because what you're going to say to an audience of old businessmen versus your friends at your friend's wedding, those are going to be totally different things. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is to read the situation, because sometimes you want to make jokes. Sometimes you want to kind of roast the person a little bit. Sometimes you want to be very sincere and very from the heart. So you kind of have to consider those two things. The third thing, one of my teachers in school always told me when you're public speaking, the 3 B's, which is be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people give a toast where they absolutely crush it for the first couple lines, and then they see that they're doing well and they think, okay, I can riff. I can start saying some other things. I can start taking risks, and they don't cut it off when they're still in the prime. That's where you want to do it. You don't want to be like an athlete who stays around for too long. So I always am encouraging people to do that. Know that time limit, feel it, and most importantly, be authentic. You just have to be authentic when you're giving a toast. People will see through it if you're saying something that you don't believe in. So those are kind of the things for me. I'm curious from you, Jeni. I know you're out and about all the time. What's the best toast you've ever heard?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I mean, honestly, I always feel like the weddings that I have been at, the best men of these weddings, is that how you say it? The best man, the best mans,
yeah,
the best men. There's multiple in each wedding. Have done a really great job. It's like the ones that I have been at, and I have really seen some really good ones. And that's coming from a person who was a maid of honor or whatever, and had to give a toast one time and completely fell on my face. This is not my strong suit. I've had to really get used to public speaking. I've had to really push myself on that. So I will speak to the more introverts in the crowd and say, go get inspired by something. Go watch other people and what they've done. Take someone else's speech, and then rewrite it for yourself, because you will change it in such a way based on your own life and your own thing that it won't be recognizable. And also, no one's out there Googling this stuff. So it's not like people who are at your party are Googling it. So you can really come up with something great. There's a lot of templates that you can use if you're freaked out like I have been. And then you graduate to your level, which is you can start freestyling and cutting yourself off and all of that stuff. But if you're more of an introvert like me, start that way, because this is not an easy thing to do for some people. There is that pressure to be witty and, as you said, brilliant. And that can be difficult, but I think maybe if you have a glass first, it helps a little bit.
I think you're right. And, one of the things I tend to say about all parts of life is, one of my favorite sports players always says, the separation is in the preparation. So practice, always practice. I mean, it works for anything, whether you're public speaking or whether you're giving a toast. I want to ask, though, about the flip side of that question, which is, what's the worst toast you've ever received or heard?
Well, I mean, it was my own at my sister's wedding. No, I mean, I thought I was doing a really good job. I had over prepared for it, I think. And I was like trying to go back in time, like, and talk about songs that she and I had sung when we were kids. And then we were going to like play them on the speaker or whatever. And it didn't work. And, it was just a disaster, but really pretty funny. And then I was in charge of making the cocktails, and we made like a tequila margarita, and we had it on a spigot, and you could just go get it. And by the end of the wedding, everyone was like falling over. It was pretty funny. We were blamed. My husband and I were. I mean, it was funny, but also not funny.
The good news is they forgot about the toast that you gave,
totally,
so everything's okay.
It was about the margarita. That was the story of the evening. So it was all good. But you know what? I mean, honestly, like I just learned from that experience so much. And I feel like that's how I learn. It's just by falling down and getting back up and keeping going forward. And I just feel like that's not what your experience has to be when you give a toast. It can be very simple. You can look it up, get some simple idea of what you have. And it's not a problem to go on note cards if you have to, because everybody said to me that was, sort of not, I don't know, not cool, not authentic, not whatever. And I was, you know what, you can do whatever you want as long as you love people, you care about them, you care about what you're doing, and you're speaking from the heart. So if you have to have those, that's totally fine too. And I've had to do that as well.
100%. You're right on. And I think another really important element is to have the right wine. I mean,
I agree.
Let's be honest.
I don't know. I think that when you have some sparkling, yeah, you're going. Wait, somebody just had a question that I thought looked really good. It was to get the attention. Did you see that one?
Yes. Any tips to capture or retain attention from the festive or rowdier crowd when it's your time to toast? I run into this when I host wine dinners all the time, which is at first it's very easy to get everyone's attention. Then they have a little bit of Chandon and they start getting real social. And so you got to kind of calm them down. I'm not a huge proponent of the classic sort of clinking on the glass. I know that works very well, but it also feels very like sharp. It's kind of a harsh way to do it. For me, a lot of times I like to pick the same spot each time I'm getting up to give a toast. And luckily I have a pretty loud voice. And so, I can get up there and I can say, hey, everybody, can I have everyone's attention? And normally that works pretty well. If you don't have that, then yeah, I think it's still pretty socially acceptable to give a tap on a wine glass, just to make sure that everybody knows that someone's going to speak. Do you have any comments on that, Jeni?
Well, once you start doing that, somebody will whistle or something like that too. So then you get everybody else involved if everybody's continuing to go. But I do think that if you could, I think in general, when you have, especially when it's a bigger party, and we have a big holiday party, obviously we're not going to do that this year and I'm so sad, but every year we have a big holiday party with Team Jeni's and everything. And everybody comes out from all different realms of the company, and they're here in our house. And that is what we do. We welcome everybody. So whether it's a toast or a welcome or just, a little speech on the year that's gone by, we always go to the same spot. And so it becomes that focal point, so that when something is happening there, everybody kind of begins to know that that's it. So I think that's super great. I've never done this before, but I actually think it's kind of fun to step up on something. If you're having trouble, like I think that's really great. Whenever I see that done at somebody else's party, I think it's awesome. So if there's like a little chair or a stool or like a little box you could put there, I think that's really cool too.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. Sort of use that like.
And then like I do like the little clinking, and if you're not loud enough to get everybody to just quiet down. And of course, if there's music, that's a big one. If there's music, and then stopping the music and then doing that should be a signal enough. But depending on how many drinks people are in, I think.
True.
I don't know.
You got to tell the DJ to stop the music.
We have a 1918 piano here that was my grandmother's grand piano, and so that was always playing with like some drums or something. And then once that stops, everybody's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, I think that clinking of the glass, I think, kind of gets people's mindset into the idea that a toast is about to happen, which is funny when you think about the history of toasts, because it comes from the Roman times, it comes from the Greek times, as far as people can tell. But the part that really nobody can figure out where toasting got to the clinking of glasses. There's a theory going around out there that it was to kind of spill a little bit of wine into everybody's glass so that if it was poisoned, everybody would get it, which seems a little bit crazy to me, because I try not to, waste the Chandon that's in my glass when I'm cheersing with somebody. But that toasting
when it was
idea,
just beer, that was fine.
Exactly. Or when it was, let's be honest, back then, really low quality wine. And that's where the word toast comes from. It's from the Latin tostus, which is basically they would put toasted breadcrumbs in their wine because the wine tasted terrible. So we've made a lot of progress in that regard. I don't think we need to do that with Chandon. As you can tell, drinking that, it's pretty nice and pretty refreshing, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. Yes, it's a long cry from there. I spent a summer on a small Greek island called Ikaria over by Turkey, and everyone makes their wine there. And I wonder if it's similar to the old Roman wine. It's all brown and, fine. And they put it in Amstel Light bottles and serve it on every table. And that's fine. Could have used some breadcrumbs. They live a long time there. So
that's true.
This is beautiful.
It's the elixir of life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, I
do.
mean, and actually, that's one of the things that I think is so beautiful about wine and the whole wine, just history, and actually champagne history, is just how old these flavors are and how developed they are over the years. I mean, I was reading the Widow Clicquot, and I read about how the Russians used to love super super sweet champagne and sparkling, and like how our tastes have changed. Can you imagine? I mean, I was just thinking about having 2 or 3 or 10 of those as they would in a night and trying to wake up the next morning with all of that sugar in your system. But how tastes have changed. Do you know much about the history of champagne and sparkling?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I actually
Not at
lived
all, right?
in Champaign when I was studying in school. So I always want to give a very clear distinction though between champagne as a generic term and sparkling wine, because I think more people are understanding this as time goes on. But I always want to remind people that champagne technically is a sparkling wine that's made in the Champagne region of France. So it's the only sparkling wine that can technically be called champagne. The grapes have to be grown there. The wine has to be made there. So here in California at Chandon in the Napa Valley, we're crafting our sparkling wines right here in Napa. So we don't call them champagne because they're not. They're California sparkling wines. And quite honestly, I just call them Chandon. We've been around for almost 48 years
Yes.
now. So it's not like we're new and people don't know who we are. Chandon's pretty much everywhere. I mean, the Brut and the Brut Rosé that you're enjoying right now, you can, no matter where people are checking in from, even the person who's from Vancouver, they can get Chandon in their local provincial liquor store. So it's certainly available out there. And just knowing the difference is important, because when you taste Chandon, I mean, you're tasting it right now, it's fruity, it's vibrant, it's ripe, it's smooth, it's very easy to drink. Pauline, who's our winemaker, Create and Cultivate, people will be very familiar with Pauline because she does a lot of work with Create and Cultivate, as we all do here at Chandon. Pauline is just trying to capture California in a glass. She's trying to put our warm, sunny days and our cool nights together and give you that fruitiness, but also give you that refreshing vibrancy. I think that's really important because
She's
that's
incredible. You guys are all incredible. I mean, she really is incredible. And it is fun to talk to all of you about how much care goes into this and how, because it is true. It is just Chandon. And I mean, I almost feel like the same as true with Jeni's at this point.
100%. And it's a great segue because I want to talk about
Yeah,
the partnership that we had. Obviously, you have the sparkling berry sorbet
I'm
open,
just
and
gonna eat some. I'm
this is
sorry.
something you can
You know,
do.
the thing is, we're like actually out of this sorbet in many places, so you can get it still in some of our stores. Um, and so I will just say this: while this is absolutely incredible and people really loved it, they really freaked for it. It's black currant and blackberries and red raspberries and Chandon Brut, but and it's incredible. You can make a beautiful like champagne float um, with any sorbet, or you can make your own sorbet. So that's another little tip.
And that was
Sometimes I do this for
exactly.
people when they're first coming into my home.
Yeah, it's such a nice festive thing. And I know that sparkling wine in general and champagne in general, really people associate it with festivity. You know, it's for
Yeah.
celebrations, it's for New Year's, it's for the holidays, which is great, but I always like to leverage that all year. And I mean, yeah, I have a little advantage because I work here at Chandon and I have, let's be honest, quite a bit of sparkling wine on hand. But you can always use that. You know, on a Tuesday afternoon, you open a bottle of bubbles and all of a sudden the afternoon feels a little bit more exciting. There's a little bit more of an effervescence to it, no pun intended, but it raises the
Mhm.
atmosphere. And something like that, you know, it's great to eat some sorbet. I was eating some last night, but you pour a little bit of sparkling wine over the top of that, a little Chandon in there, really gets you going. I'm curious how that partnership happened because I remember when our assistant winemaker told me about that. And I went, how is that going to work? And I like a good surprise in life. And of course, when I tasted it, I went, oh yeah, it works, obviously. So can you talk a little bit about the sparkling berry punch and where it came from?
Yeah, well, I was out in at Chandon about a year and a half ago, I think, and I met the team and I met Pauline and we ended up having a conversation. We're both pretty quiet and we were with a lot of very boisterous people who were just amazing and I love being around because it balances me. But Pauline and I started talking, and we just started talking about all the things we have in common. And from there, it was like, you know, we really should be working together. And so we kind of tried to make it happen a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, it just made sense. And I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do. And so when I made the first batch and sent it to you guys, I think it was just like, this is a no-brainer. It has to be this sorbet because it's just like this. I mean, when you use black currants, they just have so much pectin in them that it becomes this very velvety, gorgeous scent. And they have this beautiful, like floral almost scent to them that just bursts. What's really beautiful and what I learned is that when you pour the wine on top, the bubbles actually bring the sorbet scent up as well. And so it's really a beautiful sort of little, what do you want to call this little thing to serve?
Yeah.
Coupe.
Coop, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just beautiful, and it stops people in their tracks when you give them this. And we've done quite a few of these now, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
By the way, which one do you recommend, the coupe or the flute?
I am a big proponent of neither.
I see that. So, I've got my little, okay.
Yes, so I'm drinking out of the Chandon logoed flute, which is the official one that we use here at the winery, and it's the one that the winemaking team uses. It's kind of a hybrid. So the coupe obviously looks beautiful. I mean, you can't argue that.
It's great when you have sorbet.
Exactly. Nobody's ever looked better
Don't
than
bump
they do
anybody.
Holding a coupe, but that's the problem. You fill that up and it's going to be, don't trip on anything. I'm very much about the white wine glass. What you mentioned, the bubbles that really bringing out the aromas in a wine, that's a big thing in sparkling wine. That carbon dioxide, as it escapes from the wine, you want to concentrate those flavors and those aromas inside that bowl shape. So for me, I normally tell people white wine glasses, but I also just say drink it out of whatever you happen to have, because I don't want people I don't want them to feel like there's a barrier to drinking sparkling wine. You can always drink sparkling wine. You can always use it to make an occasion. It doesn't have to have an occasion in order for you to open a bottle. So technically white wine glasses, but the coupe is good. The flute is good. The cup is good. Stemless glassware is good. I actually
a ball jar or whatever you got.
Aluminum bottle of Chandon Rosé is what I'm enjoying at the moment, even though I have my big bottle here as well, to be honest. But it's anything you have. I just want more people to drink more Chandon more often. I'm not really that concerned with what they drink it out of, although I do love the big plastic glass that you have right there. That is beautiful.
Oh no, okay, so this isn't plastic. It looks like it's
not. It looks like it's acrylic, yeah.
Yeah, it does. And it's also a different color. These are coming. So I was going to say, this is Estelle glassware from Charleston. And it's a female company. And you should look them up because, of course, I had to buy every color. And I'm not sure that was the best idea. I should have just bought like the clear ones. But I'm like just such a color person. It's beautiful. Her glassware is absolutely gorgeous. Crystal. And I don't know that much about glass. But anyway, they're beautiful. And so, but I love that it's a female-owned company. And so I have to like put in a little plug.
Yeah, it's beautiful glass. I can't blame you. I'm going to look them up when I get home because I think, especially I think it's like kind of a purple one that you have in the background there too.
Yeah, I mean, I literally bought one of every color, which is sort of silly to do, but they're beautiful, and I'm I'm attracted to colors.
And so, it's 2020. Treat yourself. You can buy anything, get some Chandon, pour it in there, and enjoy the day. I'm looking at the Q&A, and just for fun. Somebody asked, do either of us have a go-to line or saying that you use in a toast? And I'm kind of racking my brain to think if that's the case. I have a colleague named Judy, who's probably the best I've ever heard at giving toasts. And the one that she's said that I've used a lot of different times is, as you slide down the banister of life, may the splinters always be in the right direction. And I like that because it's thought-provoking. You have to think about it for a second, and then you go, okay. I like that one a lot.
It also seems like something you could easily riff on and come up with your own version of that from wherever you're from. That's a really good one. I just remember every night drinking with the kitchen crew, after closing the restaurant, and it was always arriba, abajo, centro, adentro. Just that was mostly not for sparkling.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, I like things that are just like humor in a certain way. I like things that have a subtlety. They kind of make you think a little bit. And it is, like we were saying, you really just have to be authentic with it. And I think this is a totally different year, in typical years, you have a big family gathering and there's a big table and everybody kind of goes around and talks about what they're thankful for in the year and that sort of thing. And it's just totally different to do that on, you can't clink a glass when you're on Zoom, unfortunately, but we'll be back to it soon, I think.
Speaking of, is it actually proper etiquette to look someone in the eye when you clink? I mean, my husband is like, you're really supposed to look people in the eye when you do that. And so if you accidentally are looking at your glass, or you know what I mean? Like he'll point it out.
I treat it a lot like a handshake. Remember handshakes when you used
Yeah.
to be able to do that? I like a nice firm handshake. You look somebody right in the eye and say, nice to meet you. That's kind of the same way that I think about a toast. You say cheers and you look at whoever the guest of honor is a lot of times as well. I'm not sure there's any proper etiquette on that. I would think you kind of just do what you want to do. Traditionally, yeah, I think the idea was you were supposed to look at the person that the toast was being proposed to, not the person that
Sure.
they're
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
clinking glasses with. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
but yeah, hey, do
Okay.
whatever you want at that point.
Yeah.
It's it's 2020 for a few more days at least. You can kind of do anything, but the thing you need to be doing is you need to be drinking bubbles with food. We haven't talked about this at all yet, even though ice cream is technically food. So I suppose that sorbet counts, but I've been telling people this all holiday season. If you're not drinking bubbles, if you're not drinking Chandon with your dinner, with your roasts, with your Christmas pheasant, or whatever you happen to have for your sort of traditional holiday meal, you're missing out. Bubbles are so good with food. People don't think about that at all. And it's wildly underrated. That's your secret holiday tip is, go to the whatever store you buy wine at, go get some Chandon, pair it with your holiday meal, and you're set. Everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be happy. Your spouse is going to be happy. Your kids are going to be happy if they're over 21. Literally, you can't go wrong. It's the perfect thing to pair. So there's your little secret
it really
tip.
is. And it's like the bubbles really make they're sort of cleansing and they pop and and it's sort of, I completely agree. And I actually think it's also the best thing to drink with ice cream for the same reason, because it sort of washes away that butter fat and then sort of even sort of accentuates that bloom of scent and flavor.
You just can't go wrong. I mean, you can give me any food on this planet and I could give you a good sparkling wine pairing for it. And quite honestly, I could probably give you a Chandon pairing for it. I see Carla's asking in the Q&A directly off of that, are there any Chandon and food pairings that I recommend? One of my very favorites is the Chandon Brut, which is our signature wine, the first one you were drinking, Jeni. The Brut with potato chips or French fries. It's phenomenal. It's such a great pairing. It's
Tater
simple.
tots too.
Yep, tater tots, anything fried. I mean, calamari works really well. That's a little more summertime, I think. Even just like some mixed nuts, it works quite nicely with. The other one I really, really like is the Chandon Brut Rosé that we're drinking with burgers. You just go burgers straight off the grill. That's one of Pauline's very favorite pairings too. She loves that. That's kind of her signature pairing for the Brut Rosé. And it's just such an easy drinking wine. And, it's fun to drink sparkling wine while you're out working the grill too. I always think that's a lot of fun. Although in the winter time, a little bit less fun, I think, to be fair. And yeah, that's a really good question. I have a laundry list that I could probably go through, but I always want to be, careful with everybody's time. I think any other questions that you see that you like, or we happy and we're going to enjoy some Chandon for the rest of the evening. And I'm going to go home and eat some of my sparkling berry sorbet because it's sold out.
I'm the only adult in my house and I have 2 open bottles. Oh my gosh. Nobody call me tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I got a lot of bottles. So I want to propose a toast to you, Jeni, and say cheers. And thank you very much for doing this. I've had a great time, obviously. And it seems like you did. What do you think?
Well, back at you. Thank you so much. This is just wonderful. Ching.
Cheers. And cheers to everybody watching.
And to all of you.
Happy holidays to everybody, and take care through the holiday season, and happy 2021 once we hit the new year. Cheers.
Yay. Take care, everybody. Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.